welcome to Stitch Witch. I cleaned my office and I was like, hey, since I've cleaned my office, since I have all this floor space, there's now a dog toy in the middle of the floor, but that's okay. And I'm feeling like good today. Let's do the full moon update. It's actually tomorrow, but I don't think I'll have time to record to tomorrow on the full moon, so today's better anyway. So what have I done? A couple of things. I guess what I want to talk about first, I guess we'll start right off with knitting stuff, and then I will talk about a couple of the books that I read since the last full moon. And I'm going to talk about how I have started changing my bullet journal to better fit my personal cycle. I create a monthly spread every month. And it really struck me how, first of all, like I'm doing a full moon update here, and that doesn't necessarily fall with the month, so that's foolish. And on top of that, it just doesn't work for me. I need to really start focusing, and I know I've talked about this before, it's something I've been researching for years. I need to really start focusing on making sure that I am correlating my own personal energy cycle to how I'm working my channel, working Stitch and Witch, working my knitting, how I'm thinking about all of these things, and how I'm thinking about my bullet journal, because what I'm doing isn't working. I create a monthly spread, usually either 2 weeks before the month starts or a week into the month because of where it falls with my cycle. I rarely look back at it. All of my appointments and such are in my calendar that I share with my spouse that we both can access. So at the beginning of each week, I don't go back to my monthly spread. I go to that calendar. And that's how I add things to my weekly spread each week. So my monthly spread is not doing me any good. So I did one for March only because I do have a lot of things this month and I didn't want to forget anything. But I actually think I'm going to do the spread. I have my month, right? And then I have my important information underneath. This is how I've done my last few monthly spreads, maybe the last 5-6 months. And then on the next page, I have things by category. So I'll have my Stitch and Witch stuff, my work specific stuff, and usually what I've read. And I want to start doing those from full moon to full moon. So I'm going to put the date of the full moons at the top and make sure that I am, sorry, apparently I have to hold a dog. She's begging. Now, I don't want you in my face, honey. Make sure that I am including, or that I'm looking at those things by the full moons instead of looking at them by the month. Because really, the month is just not working for me. What did you, she's got yogurt on her. You have yogurt on you, you little goofball. You're gross. Okay, so knitting. So what did I finish for knitting? I just spent that whole time finding my page and then I lost it. What did I finish since last? I think the only thing I've finished is my crystal mitts. I have a lot of kind of bigger projects going right now, and I'm pretty sure my lambing mitts were January. Yeah, my lambing mitts were January. Did I show you those? I hope I did. They're awesome and I wear them all the time and I love them. But yeah, I think the only thing I have actually finished this month were the crystal mitts. So these are the crystal mitts. They are going to go to Maggie over at Wool of Bat for a project that she's working on. So I did those for her. That's Wool of Bat yarn. They took me, in total, the actual mitts took me about 4 days. But it was about a week that I was working on them because I frogged them twice. I kept on getting it into my head that I was for some reason going to use them, or I was going to work on them when I had children here, which is foolish. Like, I can't work on a complicated, I've got 2 dogs now begging to be held. I can't work on a complicated cable knit pattern when I've got 3 children running around my house who aren't normally here. Like, I can't send them to their rooms. They don't have rooms here, nieces and nephews. Like, no, that's not gonna work. So I had to frog them twice because of that. When I finally did them and finished them, there were a couple of things I did that I think are really important to my success with this project. I really love how these came out. Among other things, Maggie's going to be able to get better photos of them when I get them to her, and I'm really eager to see what happens with those. The day that I photographed them and the photos that you're seeing here and on my Ravelry and Instagram was kind of a cloudy day, and the photos, they didn't make me happy. They're just not, it's not showing the intricacy of the cable the way that I would like it to. But that will be, I will have better photos of those in the future one day. In the meantime, I made those the way that I was able to finally work it, because what happened, the reason that I kept having to frog them, let me start there, was because I kept on losing my place in the pattern. And it's a very complex, I mean, it's not super, I mean, I've seen worse, but it's a pretty intricate cabling pattern. And I kept on losing my spot. And so what I finally ended up doing, because I had a paper printout of the pattern, and I used the Notepad app on my phone and the scan feature on the keyboard on the Notepad app on my phone to scan the pattern into my notepad. And then I duplicated that and deleted each row as I went. And that was how I was finally able to not lose my place in these mitts. There is an error in the pattern. I noted on my Ravelry page, if you're interested in doing this pattern, it was a great pattern. There is one error at one point. She says something about you're going to do 16 rows of the pattern before you start the thumb gusset. It's actually 26. She said it in the header on the pattern, it says 26, but in the pattern it says 16, or vice versa. Whichever one it is, the 26 is the right one. So I did note that in my project. If you are interested in making these, just note that that pattern is written incorrectly in that part. But yeah, it was a lovely pattern. I absolutely will do it again. My spouse wants a pair in teal, so I am thinking about yarn for that for them. And yeah, it was great. I cast on a lot of things this month, or in this last moon cycle. I continued to work on my leaf scarf that I've been working on. I continued to work on my the harvest vest that I'm doing for my spouse. I don't remember if I had cast on Oh Boy. I think I had cast on Oh Boy for the last full moon. I have not done anything on that. But I am still really excited about that, so I plan to continue on that. I cast on my next pattern that I will be publishing on hopefully April 1st, and that is the air socks that I'm doing in the full moon yarn from Wool of Bat. Those will be I've been working on those. I've got the pattern all written up and ready to go. I'm just kind of double checking it as I go. You're very sweet, little puppy. I'm just kind of double checking it as I go. That will be out on, I hope, April 1st or around April 1st. And then the other thing that I cast on was the 3-in-1 Aztec Sash. So I don't know. Yeah, I do. I have the book right here that I got this from. I was at the library. My librarians know that I like to check out any new knitting books that come in. And so they often will be like, hey, you know, if I get my face out of here, it'll focus on it, right? So I checked out this book from the library, Lacy Little Knits. It was just kind of an impulse grab because I hadn't checked it out before, and I've basically checked out every knitting book that my public library has. I'm real big on getting patterns from the public library. I'm really big on getting everything from the public library. So this is by Iris Schreer, I think is how you say her name. There's some really cute patterns in here. I'm not a big lacy knitter. I tend to do more cabling than I do lacy stuff. Although if we take that a step further, I'm far more likely to do lace than I am color work. But this is the pattern that I cast on, the 3-in-1 Aztec Sash. And it's really cute and it's super fun. It's a very simple, you have like 6 rows of almost a garter stitch with a couple of little things in there, but it's the same every row. And then you have 2 rows of this long stitch. It's very repetitive. It has a really interesting construction that I'd never seen before. And I don't want to give away all their secrets because I do think you should check out the book, but it has this interesting triangle construction where you create 2 triangles and then connect the 2 triangles so you go center out for the sash, which I found really interesting. I'm really looking forward to being able to wear that this summer. I'm doing it in this red yarn. I'm looking for my knitting journal because I don't actually have the, oh wait, maybe I do have the project right here. I do have the project right here. I'm doing it in this red yarn, which is by Claudia Hand Painted Yarns. It was yarn that was gifted to me. See if I can make it focus. It was yarn that was gifted to me a few years ago by a really good friend of mine, and I just didn't, it was one little, it's not even like a full skein, it's like a hank. So it wasn't enough for me to do a big project with. I always kind of figured that I would end up doing just maybe a portion of a sock with it, or I would do it like it would be an accent, you know, toe and heel and socks or something like that. But it had just been sitting in my stash for a while. And when I saw that sash, when I saw that sash, I immediately was like, oh, that's what that yarn has been waiting for. I wear a lot of like grays and blacks with a color accent. I like to do that a lot. That's very much my style. So being able to wear like all black with a red sash in my hair is going to be great this summer. I'm also hoping that I can kind of do it. It seems like it's going to be thin enough that I'll be able to braid it into my hair because my hair is getting super long these days. This is basically the longest my hair has ever been my whole life. And I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what I can do with my hair this summer at this length with these sashes and my emerald lace kerchief that I did last video, that I showed you last video. Yeah, I'm really excited to see kind of what I can do with those as time goes on. So I cast that on. Like I said, I cast on my, that's my oh boy hat in that bag. I cast on my air socks in the full moon. And I continued to work on some other really small things. I did grab some cotton yarn for a couple of new scrunchies. I do tend to wear my hand knit scrunchies. It's just never gonna focus on my scrunchie. I wear hand knit scrunchies all the time. This one has a little bit of hair dye on it. But I wear hand knit scrunchies all the time. So, and I go through them and little dogs like to chew them. So I grabbed some new cotton yarn from Michael's or whatever for a new scrunchie, nothing major. It was a lot of, this month was a lot of little things. I've been working a lot on my, my mini knits. If you are on my Instagram and Facebook, you may have seen that I just released a free pattern. If you're not on my Instagram and Facebook, you should be, but I just released a free pattern for my Harvest Knits collection, which includes my carrot pattern, my pumpkin pattern, and my radish pattern. I'm hoping in the future to do a fruits one that'll be my bananas and my strawberries, and I have one more that's in the works that I have never released yet, that I've never shown anybody yet, that I'm still working on figuring out. That one's a free pattern. It's a micro knit. It uses size 0 needles, and I use craft stringer embroidery floss for it myself. You could use fingering weight, or lace weight yarn. It's very similar weight to that, and because you're making them as like earrings or something, it doesn't make a huge difference on gauge. So that's a free pattern if you're looking to get into micro knits. It's a great place to start. But because I've been working so much on that, I didn't do a lot of my other knitting except for the crystal knits this week. Or this month, I mean. So what did I read? I feel like I finally finished the Outlander series, book 9. There is a 10th book, but it's not out yet. So up to what has been released so far, I have finished the Outlander series. I think I've talked about it before on here. I know I've talked about it on TikTok and Instagram. I did those books as audiobooks, the audiobook reader for those books is absolutely incredible. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and she might be like a top 3 favorite audiobook readers I've ever listened to. Her ability to transform her voice, like she does the voices of all the different characters differently. It never sounds fake. It never pulls you out of the story. It totally, you believe that that is the voice of this character every time. She ages the voice as the characters age. I mean, this book series takes place for the main character over like 45 years of her life at this point. So people that she met when they were children are now old people, are now like in their 50s. I say old people, I'm almost 40. But yeah, so, and she never, like, her using those voices for those characters never pulls you out of the story. It's really quite impressive. So I finished that. I was trying to bring up my reading challenge list on Goodreads. To see what I've finished since then. So I finished Go Tell the Bees I'm Gone, Written in My Own Heart's Blood, and Echo and Bone so far this year. So done with Outlander, which means I can finally start talking about other books again. I feel like once you've talked about one Outlander book, you've talked about all the Outlander books, and I have no interest in going into that many details about Outlander. It is a very triggering series for a whole lot of people, and with really understandable, like, that's an understandable way to feel about it. So I don't necessarily think it is for everybody. And it kind of makes me not as interested in talking about it. I read The Ogress and the Orphans. Can't stop talking about this book, though. The Ogress and the Orphans is a middle grade fiction, really examining the slide into fascism through the lens of a fairy tale. It's a modern day, it's not modern day, it's a contemporary fiction fairy tale, really, is what it is. My niece and I both read it. She is in middle school right now. She and I both read it, and we're able to talk about it, which is always super fun. I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. So that's The Ogress and the Orphan by Kelly Barnhill. I read Murder, She Knit by Peggy Earhart. This was really cute. It was just a little paperback murder mystery about a knitting club. It's the Knit and Nibble mystery series. I don't know if I'll continue with the series. I might read a couple more here and there when I start craving another book like that. It's very brain candy. And I read The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. This was very much like, if you liked The House in the Cerulean Sea, you will love The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. Very similar sort of feel to it. Very comforting, yet challenging. Very cool. I read this book because of Katie Porter. So if anybody who saw that viral photo of Katie Porter from a few weeks back, when the U.S. legislature went into session, and she was, after like day 3 of them debating or trying to figure out who was going to lead the Republican side, she showed up with the Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck book. I read it mostly because of that photo. Not gonna lie. I don't have a lot to say about it. It's a book. I read it. It's a book that exists in the world, and I read it. And then last night I finished The Woman in the Library. The Woman in the Library by Solari Gentile, I think is how you say her name. It is a murder mystery / thriller that is disguising itself as literary fiction, or maybe vice versa. It's definitely trying to be both. I think successfully, as somebody who reads quite a bit of murder mysteries and has read a lot of literary fiction, and I have a master's degree in literary fiction, I would say it's very successful. It's a really good book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you like a headier kind of character development, character study, a headier book that's more of a character study than it is anything else, this was really good for that. I was thoroughly entertained. I absolutely, I read it in just a couple of days. Absolutely loved it. So what's coming next? So I am changing how I do my bullet journal as of like yesterday. I'm putting at the top of my little thing here will be the dates of today through the next full moon. And I'm really going to start trying to plan myself, my practice, my spiritual practice, my knitting, my channel, all of it around the full moon more. Because my own personal cycle really falls quite in line with the full moon. My own energy cycle falls quite in line with the full moon. And I just kind of want to really give that the time and energy that it deserves. So I have that coming up. We are at March in Maine. Yep, March in Maine. I said that right. Which means that it is coming up on time to plan gardening. And even though there's a foot of snow on the ground and we just got like 14 inches of snow yesterday, the day before yesterday, it is time to start kind of planning those things. So I have a lot of that coming up, and I want to do a lot of that in my bullet journal. So that will be coming in there. And then, like I said, I have the air socks pattern, which I'm really excited about. It is a very simple toe up pattern. Would be great if you were like, you just learned how to do socks, or you just want to learn how to do socks and you've never done anything with any sort of lace motif. This is a really simple lace-ish motif on these socks. I'm really excited about them. I'm really excited to own them because I think it's going to be a good pair of socks to wear more year round. I have a lot of socks that are like really very much winter socks, and I think these socks will be better for kind of all seasons. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. So those are coming up soon. I also have some new stickers coming. So keep an eye out on my Instagram. Like I said, everything gets posted over there first. YouTube kind of comes second in the world of posting stuff for me. So keep an eye on my Instagram. I have a couple of sets of knitting journal planner stickers that will be out within the next 2 weeks. They've been made, they've been printed. I'm working on product photos today. So we're that close to getting them out. And I'm really excited about them. I have started using them in my knitting journal. So when I do get them out, I will also be able to show you pages of my knitting journal that I've been using these stickers in. And I'm very, very excited to have those in the shop over on Etsy. So yeah, keep an eye out for those. Keep an eye on the Instagram. The Instagram is where it's all at, I'm telling you. I think that's everything that I have today for like an update. I really just kind of do these videos to kind of keep myself in check on where I am and what progress I'm making. And I do feel like even though it wasn't a month that I completed a lot of knitting, it was a month that I did a lot of knitting. I updated my reading blanket. I didn't even mention that earlier. I did a lot of that kind of stuff. So I think that's everything. I'm going to go back to knitting now, and I'm going to go finish the product photos for those stickers. I cannot wait for you to see them. They're so fun. I think that's everything. So go make something magical.